Looking to take control of your self-care? Join us on October 19th for the official launch of the Enjoyno, Nurturing Authentic Living, created by myself, Dr. Enjoy. From 2 to 4 p.m. at Studio House Atlanta, experience a wellness event with self-care tips, interactive booths, and a chance to get your Enjoyno signed by me. Start your journey to joy and balance. Don't miss this event. See you on October 19th from 2 to 4 at Studio House Atlanta. Hey, welcome to Journey to Joy Live, a podcast to promote wellness, resilience, and joy while providing mental health awareness and breaking down the stigma of mental illness in the Black community. I'm your host, Dr. Enjoy, and today I bring to you episode 68, Mastering Tools for Self-Success. As you know, I've been going through the Inspire Joy series, and the E in Inspire is empowerment. And I'm so happy to have my lovely Dr. Carolyn King to join me to talk about to join me to talk about empowerment. So we are in Seattle. We're actually at the top of the Sheraton in the Elite Bonvoy Lounge for the American Academy Child and Adolescent Psychiatrist Conference. And so empowerment, we can go in all different kinds of directions because
Absolutely.
You are my mentor. I met you when I was in medical school.
Yes.
Yeah, I think I was in medical school.
Yes.
Mentor, sorority sister, friend, amazing. You've definitely empowered me like throughout my medical career.
Oh, good.
But before we get to that, introduce yourself.
Okay. So I am Carolyn King, and I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist and the co-founder of Reach Out to Youth. I'm an author of a children's book series and plan to do more authoring. What else can I say about me?
You do
Mom
a lot.
Mom of two wonderful young men. I'll be going to
Boy Mom.
G-Ho, the greatest homecoming on earth, in a little bit. Not to timestamp everything, but yeah. So she met my 21-year-old when he was
11, 10, 9.
So that kind of dates a little bit. We were in medical school. And did you go to Wayne for?
Right before medical school, I was at Wayne State because I had to do my post-bac program. My GPA was pretty low. I had to raise it.
I was post-bac.
Yeah,
okay.
exactly.
So,
yeah. So we're talking about empowerment.
Yes.
So really the empowerment, of course, of the Inspired Joy from the Enjoyno really talks about, it's like the core foundation of how we can get joy. The first part of the Inspired Joy series was talking about the 5 crucial health areas. So mental, physical health, financial, aspirational, and social. And so in order to balance that kind of joy, we need to have resilience. I talked about resilience last week, and then empowerment. So what really does empowerment mean to you? Like, why do we need to feel empowered to have our wellness?
Yeah. So whenever I think about a word, I always think about 2 things. Number one, I think about in the beginning, there was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. And so that is the power of words. And when we think about the word empowerment, right, it has the word power in it.
Yes.
And so what creates power for different people is different things. Some people's power is just being alive, right? Because they were so close to death. Maybe they've had an illness.
Yeah, trauma.
So just being alive is powerful enough. Some people's power comes from a higher power, their faith.
Exactly.
Okay. Some people's power comes from getting high.
Yes.
We're in Seattle, and there is a huge heroin epidemic going on here. I've seen a couple of people nodding out. And some people's power comes from their children. Some people's power comes from the things that they've accomplished, their bank accounts. There are a lot of ways that we can feel empowered. Personally, I think the best way to be empowered is to focus on your passion and your purpose.
There it is. Passion and purpose.
I mean, because if you focus on your passion and purpose, then that's really what you were put here to do. You know, and so then you're going direct from creator through you to everything else around you.
And that's really what's driven me throughout this whole time, is my passion and purpose. And that's why the aspirational health, knowing your purpose, is very important to your joy. Because I say all the time, you can be making that money. Maybe you don't have financial stress. Maybe you're mentally healthy. Maybe you're physically healthy. But if you don't know your purpose in life, that can
be
get
depressed.
you down, and I
Very
can still.
depressed.
So that's why we need to focus on our aspirational health. So that's definitely led me. I mean, I think by the time you met me and I was in med school, I mean, I was doing fine. Med school was still hard, but
Med
I
school is
went through a
hard.
lot to get through that point. But having a mentor, having a role model is important because you would
I was a
always
little bit of
feed
a
into me.
sponsor, too.
Oh, right, because I lived with you. I only had to pay like what, a few $100s a month.
know, right?
So you were
Now
my
that you are a
sponsor.
homeowner, you realize how big that was. So one of the things I learned recently, because we talk so much about mentoring and
Mhm.
people mentoring someone, and I've had
Yeah.
mentors and things, but you know, in my goal to be empowered in my purpose,
Mhm.
I have learned, and I got this recently, and I mean, I'm 60, so to get this recently seems
Don't
like
look
it's so late in life.
Yeah.
But I found out we really just don't need mentors. We need sponsors, because the sponsors are really what allow you to get to the next level.
Gotcha.
So, like your colleagues were paying how much in rent?
Oh, like $1,200
$1,200,
probably.
and you were paying $300.
300. Exactly.
She was paying $300. She had cable, internet, toilet paper. She had toilet paper, bills sometimes.
Mhm.
And so, and the only thing I requested is that when she gets to that place in life, is that she just does the same thing. You know, allow someone,
Pay it forward.
you know, to be in her home.
Oh, so I got to do that. Oh, actually, I've done that. My
You
mother-in-law,
see?
sister-in-law, and
You see
niece.
what
Does
I'm
that count?
saying? Yeah. Okay.
good.
Because when they live with you, you see that there is a little bit of sponsorship.
Yes, yes. Oh, we sponsoring all the way. Yeah, there's that
And so-
sandwich generation,
Yeah.
generation where you take care of your kids and your parents.
Absolutely. And you were there with me
Mm-hmm.
when I was in the sandwich generation, because my mom
Right.
was alive.
Correct.
Yeah. And the kids were still little. And so you now are in the sandwich generation, but you realize that, you know, there's still a little bit of room for somebody else.
Yeah.
Not a lot of room,
Right.
but there's a little bit of room for somebody else. And then, you know, it's funny how that empowers you. Like here I am on your show.
Exactly. You empowered me. Yes, exactly. Now, I mean, you've really, like, I've always looked up to you. You've always like succeeded and done so much. What you're doing, like with Reach Out to Youth, is actually amazing. And I definitely want you to talk about that. I don't know how you work, but like, obviously there are times where you haven't felt empowered. Like, how do you get beyond that obstacle that might get in the way of you being empowered to succeed?
You really want to know?
Yeah.
Okay.
Be transparent.
Okay. So it's called faith.
Yes.
No, seriously. Like sometimes my bank account will not look like I want it to look. Okay. And when
even
I
for
say,
us doctors.
Okay. And when I say that I'm on that whole entire faith walk, okay, I mean, I'm on that whole entire faith walk more times than I would like to admit.
That's where spiritual health comes in at.
And so, you know, this is another thing that I learned recently. I was watching something, of course, on one of the social medias, and it said they were interviewing, I think, Alfred Hitchcock. And the interviewer asked Alfred Hitchcock, how did you have the confidence to do all of the amazing things in cinema that Alfred Hitchcock did, because it was really cinematically changing some of the things that he did at the time. And his answer was ignorance.
Really?
His answer to where did he get the confidence was ignorance. He didn't know that he couldn't do it.
Well, it's kind of like that balance between realism and optimism.
It is.
Because people who are like 100% optimistic, there is a little bit of ignorance there. But you need optimism.
You gotta have it.
Yeah.
And so
I like that.
That's part of that faith walk and empowerment, because, you know, even when you look at The Pursuit of Happiness, remember that movie? And, you know, he was really broke.
A lot. He went through a lot.
Broke. Okay. But he still kept on to pursuing his passion to find out, you know, when was that break gonna happen? And eventually he got a sponsor. Right. And that's what moved the needle for him. Yeah. So when you ask me about Reach Out to Youth, that's actually what we're looking for, is more sponsors. Yeah.
So tell us about Reach Out to Youth.
Oh my
What
goodness.
is that?
Okay. So Reach Out to Youth is a program that started as a committee. It started as just an event. Okay. 34 years ago, I was in medical school at Wayne State.
In medical school.
Right. And they said, what are we going to do for Black History Month? And I was like, well, if it was up to me, I would bring in our nieces, nephews, cousins, and members of our church to the medical school so they could see what it's like to be a medical student.
Empower them.
Because
Yeah.
as a 3-year-old, I knew I wanted to be a doctor, but my parents weren't doctors, so I had no idea how to get there.
Wow.
And so they said, okay, let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
So we started with 40 kids, and we brought them into the medical school. We covered up above the neck and below the umbilicus so that they could see the median nerve.
Okay. Okay.
And of course, the parents were like, "You gonna take my kid to see?"
So they were looking at cadavers.
Yes, they were looking at cadavers. Okay, you gonna take my baby to see a dead person? I said, "Well, we call them cadavers, respectfully." And the parents were like, So we had to take the parents down there first into the anatomy lab. And they were like, "Oh, okay, this is cool." And so we did. And then, the medical students after me just kept saying, "Let's do it again. Let's do it again. Let's do it again." And
that's so cool.
And then, so then we expanded to Michigan State. We expanded to Open University, University of Toledo. All these are medical schools.
Right.
And now it's going to be in Brody. Yeah. So in North Carolina. In the spring of 2025.
Wow.
So we say, reach out to youth of the world.
Exactly. And I remember, because we were talking about my time I participated, and I did a talk. It was 300 kids, and I talked about where the babies come from. And if you can only imagine giving that talk to 300 kids.
Elementary school age kids, age 7 to 11.
The whole time they're just like, ew. It was hilarious, but they were getting introduced to the medical field. Like you said, you always wanted to be a doctor, but you didn't have anyone to show you how.
Correct.
Yeah.
And the thing that stops a lot of people from going into the career of their purpose and passion is teenage pregnancy, because people don't have the talk.
So you need to know where babies come from.
You need to know where babies come from. That's why that became an integral part of the program. So there's clinical skills where they learn about ophthalmoscopes and otoscopes, but then there's also where the babies come from that's been there since its inception. And it's really intentional to help kids know this is a penis, this is a vagina, penis inserts into the vagina, and this is where babies come from.
Exactly.
Okay. So you're telling this to age 7 to 11. But what I don't want them to do is be out there experimenting.
Right. Like, now that we know.
Well, no. What happens is they experiment because they don't know.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So now, exactly.
Yeah, they don't know. So then they just are adolescents and they experiment. And then before you know it, they don't really know that's where babies come from.
And that's what some parents fear, that once you educate them, that'll increase sexual activity. But it does not. It's really good to educate them about it so that they won't. It reduces it. They're more educated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awareness creates change.
That's good. And so reach out to you. You said it's in multiple schools.
4 now.
In Michigan. So 4.
Just 2 more to go and we have all of Michigan.
And it's free to sign your baby up?
Free. Absolutely 100%
What ages?
free.
You mentioned 7 to 11. Is it still just 7 to 11?
7 to 11. So we always want to start with the youngest age, because when do children need to know about career options? They need to know about them as early as possible. So when you think about, prepping kids to become football players or any professional athlete, you don't wait until they're in high school.
Right. That's way too late.
It's way too late, right? If you want them
they have to be 3.
And exactly. Okay. So you start them as early as possible in their career path. And so for me, shameless plug, Carol, okay, I wrote a little coloring book.
So that there's a little glare.
Okay.
One of her children's books.
Yes.
A girl named Carol.
Yes. And so when people buy that book, they actually
a boy named Roy.
and so there's the mocha version. Okay, here you get the glare off because you know how to do it. Okay?
Yeah, there we go. Got some children's books here.
And then, of course,
oh yes, this one's really good.
This is a kid named Sid.
Introduce the gender identity.
Yes, so it's concerns. A little bit different than the career series, which is what A Girl Named Carol is. And there's a website, agirlnamedcarol.com. But anyhow, we just want kids to go into their purpose and passion.
Yes. We do. And so you were 3 when you knew you wanted to be a doctor. Correct. I was 5. How did you know you wanted to be a doctor?
So obviously at the age we all go to a pediatrician, right? So I liked what my pediatrician, apparently I liked the thought of them using those instruments for whatever they were using them for. So I just always said I wanted to be a doctor.
Did I write that right? A girl named Curl.com,
yes,
right?
You
okay,
did.
All right, go ahead.
Yeah. And then at one point, maybe you can put in reachouttouth.org.
Definitely.
Because that's where people can find out more about Reach Out to Youth. But
definitely. So you said the pediatrician.
Yeah, doctor
introduced you.
Well, he was a pediatrician, and I liked, I liked what he was doing. He was kind. He was doing something with the human body that I didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
But so I just always wanted to be a doctor.
Wow.
I'm so young. I don't even remember how I know I wanted to be a doctor. I just know that's always what I wanted to be.
So it's that exposure. So you're talking
Yes.
about when you were 3, you were
Yes.
exposed to the pediatrician. When I was 5, getting hit by a car, going to the doctor.
Oh,
That's when I wanted to become a doctor.
So what was it about the hit by the car that made you want to be a doctor?
When I went and I was just like, wow, they're taking care of me through this trauma. And I just remember like, oh, I want to be a kid doctor. I want to be a baby doctor. It's that exposure.
And you remember.
I actually remember that.
Yeah, you actually remember the moment that it happened. I don't. I just remember that
at some point.
At 3.
And at 3. A lot of people don't know at that young age.
Yeah, that's my mother told me I'd been seeing it since I was 3.
Wow. So she told you. So like exposure is definitely key. And that's what you're doing with the Reach Out to Youth program is exposing young kids so they can feel empowered and know that even they can go into the medical field.
Yeah. And there's not just doctors in the medical field. There are nurses, there are radiation therapists. And one of the things I say about careers in the medical arts and sciences, and this does sound strange, but all careers are a career in the medical arts and science. So even if you are a janitor, you have to know not to mix ammonia and Clorox,
right?
Because it's deadly, right? And so that is a career in the medical arts.
Right. So even though you're not directly dealing with patients in a clinical setting.
Athletes have to know their muscles. They have to know what to do to protect their muscles, to build their muscles, about their diet. I mean, so when you think about it, all careers are careers in the medical arts and sciences. If you're a gardener, you got to know which plants are poisonous, which fertilizers to use, which ones not to use for certain plants, what the seasons are that the plants go.
Yeah. Now, if going back to trauma, right? Trauma actually increased my desire to want to be a doctor. But then there's that trauma where people go through abuse, neglect, lots of different types of trauma that may just get them down in general. How do we get through that type of trauma in order to feel empowered to want to be a doctor or to want to be an engineer or a lawyer when I got to get through this trauma?
Yeah. So it's interesting because there are so many wars, and this conference has really been talking a lot, or maybe I've just been attending the things that we're talking about, the wars. And there are wars all over the world. There are actually, I just saw the statistic on how many internally displaced persons. There's actually an acronym for it, IDP. Which means,
IEDP.
IDP. Internally displaced persons. And so those are people whose countries are at war and the people's homes have been bombed and they haven't become refugees, which means they've left their home country. They're still in their home country, but they're internally displaced.
Right.
The other thing I think about this, and I'm sorry, I'm making random associations, is
it's okay. I do it all the time.
In our communities, when gentrification happens, there are people who are internally displaced.
Right, for sure. And
so I call gentrification a gentle colonization.
Yes.
Because it's not the people who don't have the resources that come in and gentrify. The people who come in and gentrify have resources.
That's definitely what it sounds like.
They come in
they're
with
colonizing. You're
and they're
completely
colonizing.
Correct.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And so I talked about that to somebody here who is in DC now. Bless his heart. And I told him about my concept of gentrification versus colonization. And he's a gentrifier. And he said, and I love going to the store and talking to the guy who owns the bodega. But at the same time, I hate when there's litter outside. And I'm like, why don't they just, he didn't want to say get rid of the people. The poor
Oh,
I said, he wanted to say it.
wow.
He said, I feel horrible saying it. I said, that's a feeling that you're going to need to
But
deal
clearly
with.
that's traumatizing for someone who's been internally displaced.
Because they
Exactly.
are. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. People from, areas where there's colonization or
Mhm.
gentrification happening get displaced.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so there's getting displaced. There's that kind of trauma,
There's that
environmental trauma,
Yep.
natural disasters,
Yep.
discrimination,
So how do you
all
have
kinds of things.
resilience? I think
Resilience,
the word
there it
you were
is.
wanting. And
Yes.
so resilience comes from having some resources. And those resources can either be external, community, faith.
Yes.
Because, neither of us
Faith is huge.
had all the resources that you would think we would have needed to become physicians.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
But we had faith.
Yeah, that's definitely what got me through. I was telling my story a few weeks ago.
Yeah,
that faith is what got me through.
Yeah, you have to have it.
So you mentioned external resources.
Yes.
I believe you also need the internal resources.
Absolutely.
And those internal resources are a mindset.
It's
like the mind
one.
goes a long way. We talked about
one.
optimism. I talk about all the time positive affirmations, thinking positively, and just knowing that you can do it.
Yeah.
And looking for those
stuff.
resources.
You got to do stuff.
Yeah.
You can't just sit around in the dark
and just think about it.
Okay.
You gotta put in that effort.
Sit alone with this room and some mirrors and no money.
Well, that's how you tie in the internal and external resources, because you mentioned faith, and faith without works is dead.
That's right.
So whether you a believer of God or not, that is true for everybody. You got to do something. Once you believe it,
you got to do the stuff.
You got to do the stuff to get there.
You got to do the stuff.
Yeah. And obviously, if trauma gets in the way of that, if you are mentally, you don't have mental illness and things like that, that's where therapy and that's where medication could come in at.
Yeah.
So, and those are resources you might need as well.
But people definitely, it is hard though, when a person is depressed and really kind of going through it to get out of themselves and their space.
Yeah.
But even to go outside, walk around the block, even to go outside, sit on the porch, it helps to change the vibe.
Yeah.
Right? Sometimes I say to people, just take a shower, get in the water and wash all the dirt off of the day, all the negativity of the day.
Yeah.
And that by itself is empowering.
Because there's some people that can't, like you said, they can't even get out of the bed.
They just are stuck.
So being able to get back to your basics, your baselines, just shower and put your clothes on.
Brush your teeth and then have gratitude that you have hand strength to brush your teeth.
Gratitude. Talked about gratitude and the integrity part of Inspire Joy.
Yes.
Yeah, being able to understand, like, not focus on what we lack, but the abundance that we have, what we actually do have. That's what gratitude is, because you have something. There is something to be proud of and to be thankful of. Yes. So if we can kind of switch gears a little bit, when we think about empowerment,
Fran Cargill.
Yes, that's my mom.
Oh, hi.
She said hello.
Hello.
Yeah, that's her comment from earlier. Yeah, she's here, right?
Here we are. It's 7:25 p.m. So I didn't know if that was real time, but that's real time where she is.
That's Eastern time. We're at the 7. We're at 4:47 where we are.
That's you normally go on at
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
So we went a little, we picked Pacific time. So also, when I talk about empowerment in the Enjoyno, I talk about like being able to make decisions for you, like being able to feel empowered, to have boundaries and be able to say no. Because some people don't feel empowered like that. They go along with everybody else. They just say yes. They give, and give. Do you? Because I think you're good at saying no. What tips do you have for being empowered to set boundaries and make decisions for you? And I don't mean it in a bad way.
I'm going to tell you what I've come up with. I had to come up with a couple of things, right? Because some things are hard to say. So the things that are hard to say, either because it's hard for you to say it or it's hard for people to hear, I come up with optional ways to say it.
Okay.
So with the word no, my optional way of saying no is, that's not going to work for me. That's a great idea. Nina, can I have $10,000?
That's not gonna work for me. That's good instead of just saying no, or saying it in a bad tone too.
Yeah, that's not gonna work for me. And then what happens is people can appreciate that you did consider it seriously. Okay, you just didn't like flat out know them and ignore their requests. You did consider it.
If you said it nicely, there wasn't a tone like you
gonna work.
idiot. I don't have that. Why you gonna say that to me? Exactly.
And it applies to so many things. It's not gonna work for me.
That's so funny because, and I'm gonna say this live. I invited a lot of people to this event on Saturday, in a couple of days. I got the book launch. Everybody knows about that. So I actually met the chair of Usher's nonprofit, the New Look Foundation.
Oh, good.
So since I knew her, I reached out to her and I said, well, hey, I want to invite Usher to my book launch. And she said, well, she didn't say that's not going to work for me. She said, well, unfortunately, he can't make it.
Right.
But she responded.
She was so sweet. Yeah.
Instead of just no.
And you felt validated.
I'm like, I felt very validated.
You did.
I'm like, he's going to be in town for the concert. Why not?
Yeah. But
I felt
okay. You
validated.
felt validated.
But I also was empowered to ask Usher to come to my event too.
That's right. Because the thing about empowerment is everybody's not going to say yes to everything you ask.
And that's okay.
Okay. However, ask. Just ask.
Just ask.
Just ask. And it is hard. Like the stuff we're saying, just do. That Nike shoe swoop, that is not easy. Okay. It is not
just
easy,
do it. Right.
Okay. To just do. It is hard.
Mm-hmm.
And once you realize that it is hard, and you still just do.
Mm-hmm. So is there any type of traits that a person needs to be able to feel confident about saying no and doing things and prioritizing themselves?
Remember that ignorance?
Yeah.
Just be ignorant about that you can't do it. Just I'm doing it because I can. And not because I had to do A, B, C, D, E. This, people would fake being doctors.
Mm-hmm.
Right? They would, and so like there are a lot of credential checks.
Mm-hmm.
But how do you go? And so I listen to too much stuff on Facebook. I listened to an interview, and this guy, I don't know who he was being interviewed by, but he was like this master liar and manipulator, and he actually perpetrated being a surgeon.
Oh my goodness.
An entire surgeon. And so the interviewer said, well, how did you do the surgery? He said, well, when you're a surgeon at an academic institution, you have residents.
Oh,
and
my goodness.
The residents know how to do the surgeries. So if you let them do the surgery and you put it back on them and you say, well, what would you do in this case, doctor?
Right. That sounds like an episode of The Resident.
Okay. And so then that's a great idea.
Wow.
And so he had accolades from the residents for being.
He would just let them do it. He still had to teach the residents.
Well, he taught them through a Socratic method of learning, as opposed to giving them knowledge. He had them fish and have the knowledge.
Right. Well, we're not teaching how to scam. We're just saying
he was ignorant of what the requirements of being a surgeon were.
Right.
But he had the confidence to pull it off.
Wow. They were just talking about on the radio about this person who scammed being a dentist, had like the best practice and everything, and knew exactly, but he like wasted those skills. He could have just went to dental school and then did it legally.
Or did he give it to was it in a practice with other people?
I don't know. There were other people that had to help out, yeah. But he was giving people veneers and everything. That's what I heard. Okay, that's what you get when you got two psychiatrists with ADHD. We can go on, but that's all right.
Yeah, that's a true statement. And I meant to take my dog on Ritalin.
You see that? She takes Ritalin. I used to be on Vyvanse years ago. I take fish oil now. It's all right. That's what happens. But we still talking about empowerment. You can feel empowered to do the wrong thing, or you can feel empowered to do the right thing. And that's really what we saying. So do the right thing, obviously, is what you should do. So the name of this podcast, Journey to Joy Live.
Yes.
Do you feel like you are living in your journey to joy?
Every day. But definitely it's a faith walk. I mean, every day. Because sometimes it's a little scary Sometimes it's a little scary. And I think, Carolyn, are you really going to do that? And I say, yes, I am. And I just, walk on faith and somehow, but once you put, and that was that Martin Luther King, said faith is taking the step when you can't see the staircase.
Wow. I love it.
Yeah, that's a real quote.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, taking the first step when you can't see the staircase.
I write that down.
Yeah. And so, I always, when I live on faith, I'm truly doing that. Okay. But now, do I think about a backup plan? I mean, I do think about a backup plan.
We need backup plans.
I always have a plan A, B, C, D. Now, I don't do a plan E because that's failing. So if plan A didn't work, then B becomes A. C becomes B. They moved up.
Why is E automatically failing? I mean, why not go to Z and double Z?
No, that's how I grew up. I grew up with A, B, C, D, E.
All right.
I'm going to do what's familiar.
Who was that? Edison failed, 999 times?
Well, one at a time, though.
Oh, yeah. Don't do it all at once. But it is okay to fail.
It's okay to fail. But
and it's definitely okay to have multiple plans.
You have to have, he tried again and again and again. So when A didn't, then B became A.
Yeah, you moves up. You can't do it all at once because you got to focus on one thing. Exactly.
No, you got to focus.
For sure.
So, I have not read the book yet.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes. I can get you a signed copy, Dr. King.
Okay, yeah.
I brought 5 books here.
Oh, good. You always have to travel with you. You have to travel.
Travel with your books. Yeah, it's a wellness journal. I've been talking about this.
Have you been doing it?
The journal myself? Yeah. I go into it, yes. Exactly.
You've been doing it.
My own journal.
Yes.
I do. I do. Not daily, because you can have your own pace, and that's okay.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It's something that you can do daily if you want. Like it's set up where the first section for mental health you could do for the week, the first 7 days, then go to the next session, the gratitude session, get it past trauma section. So you can do every day like that, or you could just once a week, once a month.
Can you skip?
You can skip. You can skip.
Front?
And there's a self-assessment in there that tells you like where you should start. So if you feel like you're lacking in aspirational health, your purpose, you can start with purpose. If you're lacking in your financial health, you can start with financial health. Yeah. So you don't have to go front to begin, but beautiful, colorful pages. Because I love my colors. Got some people in here.
Yeah.
And where we're gonna look at the empowerment. We're doing this empowerment chapter right here. So here we go, everybody. We got the empowerment chapter. There we go. So the empowerment chapter basically, identifying your strengths. What are the top 5 strengths? How can you use these strengths to overcome current challenges?
Yes.
Setting empowerment goals. So like, what is one goal, if achieved, you would make you would feel significantly more empowered? What goal can you set where you would feel significantly more empowered?
Yeah.
I mean, the goal to write this book, I felt significantly more empowered, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And so for me personally, I hate asking for money. And, when you have a nonprofit, you got to get money. And so that has been the goal. And I hired a grant writer recently. That was really important and empowering because I just don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Okay. And so I put a budget to it. This is how much I can afford weekly.
That's good.
And, hired them. And so and then I had to set goals for them.
Yes.
Like, I need you to write for a grant a week.
Yeah.
Every week I need you to write for a grant.
Yeah.
And, so that then allowed me to feel empowered. Like I'm on my
You're delegating that task. I mean, why do it yourself?
Can't do it. I can't do it.
If you don't know how, you don't have the passion to do it or the energy, it's not going to be successful.
And we can learn anything, but we can't do everything.
Love it.
Yeah, we can learn anything, but we can't do everything.
Yeah.
Like, you have to delegate. And that to me is, if there were a number one empowerment strategy,
is delegating.
So when you look at the most empowered people, for example, if you look at Ford, Mr. Ford,
yes,
did not build those cars. He did not build those cars.
Yeah.
I just found out that Elon Musk did not build Tesla. What he did is he basically bought the company.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And so it's the delegation.
Delegation, not reinventing the wheel.
You see what I'm saying?
You don't have to do it all.
But he did also market, because of Tesla's name and the association with Tesla and their electricity, it really, people automatically kind of connected this to, this is it. He obviously can't build the rockets, the cars, the everything he's doing. It's
No,
all
you
delegated.
need people under you. You need
You gotta
a
have
system,
you gotta
structure,
delegate. You gotta delegate.
delegation in order to
Gotta
feel
delegate.
empowered.
Yeah.
Yes,
And so
that's
for
important.
women, one of the things that I always encourage women who are in careers to do is get somebody to clean your house.
You always said that.
Get somebody to clean your
You know
house.
what? You know what you said to me? You said, and I was very much single when I was living with you. You said, I'm going to need a husband and a wife.
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And so technically, I ended up having something like that. I'm lucky to have a village.
Yeah.
My husband's mom and
Yeah.
sister was living with us, and
Yeah.
they're very amazing with helping out. My mom's
Yeah.
amazing with helping out with the kids.
So somebody cleans.
So yeah,
You're
it's
not doing the
helpful.
baseboards.
No.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's,
Thank you to my village.
yes, because it's very important. Because when you look at, your hourly income,
Mm-hmm.
if you take how long it takes to clean your house, 3 hours, and you multiply that by your hourly
Take
income,
all day for my house.
you see what I'm saying? You multiply by your hourly income,
Mm-hmm.
okay?
Mm-hmm.
That is not what the cleaning people make. They do
You're
not
doing
make
more.
the physician's salary.
Now, what if you don't have the money? How you? What if you're
no,
single mom? You don't
no,
have the money.
no,
How you gonna get somebody to clean your house?
no,
How can we balance that?
No,
No what?
no, okay?
No what? Just get the money.
Look,
You gonna always have it no matter
I
what.
promise you, I have seen single mothers figure out ways to get their kids into football, Nike,
Mm-hmm.
and
The money somewhere is what you're saying.
Okay. Football, Nike, and the concert.
Gotcha. So if you can do that, you can
Okay.
find someone to clean your house.
Okay.
Okay.
So
That's why you need the financial chapter.
I'm just saying,
budgeting.
There are, and they may not be able to clean your house every week.
No, maybe
Okay.
once a month.
It might be once a month. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you may have to do a pre-clean, like most people do, have to do a pre-clean before the cleaners come. But
a lot of people
you
do
know,
that.
But there is something to be said about having that peace of mind.
Mm-hmm.
When you look at your house and it's organized and clean, that's empowering.
Decluttering. You got to declutter the mental baggage, and you got to
that.
declutter the physical baggage in your house, your office, your desk.
Absolutely. And
that's why we're talking about this.
Part of the reason it's hard to clean is because we got too much junk.
Mm-hmm.
We have too much junk. That is what has made Amazon so rich.
Because we keep buying it.
We keep buying junk.
And then the empty boxes are still there.
We keep buying junk.
Yeah.
Our parents and grandparents didn't have all that junk.
I can think of all the Jet magazines that my grandma had, but that wasn't even with Amazon. That was just with a subscription to the magazine. There were other ways, but you're right. It's easier to have a lot of junk. So Amazon, maybe you got to limit what you do. Maybe that's affecting your mental health.
Her Jet magazines gave her a lot of pleasure, supported the Black business. Back to empowerment. It certainly empowered Mr. Johnson.
I was going to say, I always remember looking at her little Jet magazines and going to the Beauty of the Week. And I'm like, oh, I want to look like her.
It certainly empowered Mr. Johnson,
Okay, we can talk about empowerment. We can go into so many different directions.
Yes.
We talked about you empowering me as my mentor role model.
You empowering others. Yes.
On here, everywhere, and you empowering kids on Reach Out to You and through writing books.
Yes.
It's been great. Anything else, Dr. Carolyn King, that you want to say about empowerment or that comes to mind? Or your journey to joy?
I love when you were going through your book.
Oh, yeah.
Saying, the empowerment goals that you have.
Yeah, so we talked about empowerment goals. Day 4, overcoming self-doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, because I talk about all the time about how our mind can be crippling and bully ourselves and say we can't do this. So if you doubt that you can't do this, or you have imposter syndrome
Right,
and
right.
feel like, well, why me? Why did they choose me? Then that's
Right.
going to stop you from feeling empowered.
Yeah. And so in our field, we call it CBT, where it helps to reframe and restructure how you
Correct.
think. Keep going.
Yeah. So what can you tell yourself next time to push through self doubt? And for me, it's positive affirmations. I know I talk about that so much, but it's key. I can do this. I got the degree. Of course, I can talk to people about their mental health.
Yeah.
That's for empowerment syndrome. I mean, imposter syndrome, if you
Yes.
have it. And then, of course, enforcing boundaries. We did
Yes.
mention the boundaries, being able to say no. How do you set boundaries saying no to contribute to your empowerment? How do you put yourself first? And it's okay to prioritize yourself and put yourself first. It's not selfish. I mean, what do they say on the plane when the
Oh yeah,
oxygen?
put your own mask on first.
Mm-hmm.
Put your own mask on
Because
first.
then you can't help anybody. It's create an affirmation, craft a personal affirmation that reinforces your sense of empowerment.
Yeah.
So whether it's, oh, I got this no matter what, I'm a badass, whatever it is you gotta say, you turn on the bad bitch music or something like that. And then day 7 is celebrate achievements. You can achieve something, whether it's small or like huge.
Yeah.
What achievements?
Whenever I get like not feeling like I'm empowered
Mhm.
or celebrating myself, I always thank God for being able to brush my teeth.
There it is.
I mean, just that little thing, because somewhere in the hospital, there's somebody who
They can't brush your teeth.
they can't brush their own teeth. They have an occupational
They can't
therapist
feed themselves.
showing them how to hold a toothbrush because they just had a stroke
Mhm.
or an accident,
Mhm.
And so just those little teeny tiny things are just moments of empowerment.
I was just telling my 13-year-old, because we were at the mall and there was this older man sitting by the fountain and he had like a bag of urine like attached to his leg. And I pointed it out. I said, he has that urine there because he has some type of issue where he can't use the bathroom. And I told him about colostomy bags, where some people have a bag of poop outside of their body because they can't poop. And he just looked like, what? So it's like, there's always something.
You can poop.
Yeah. Gratitude goes a long way. Like the natural things that we take for granted. And a lot of us feel like, oh, I don't like my body. I don't like the way I look. I don't like this. What is your body doing for you? You're breathing. People who are on vents need a vent to help them breathe. You're breathing on your own.
So many things.
Mm-hmm.
So many things to have gratitude for, so many. I mean, it's always going to be aspirations that we want more of something that we don't have.
Mm-hmm. And from comparing to others.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no, I love this book. I'm glad this is your first book.
We have to give it to
that
you. Yes, it
published.
is.
And you got your book launch coming up?
I do. On Saturday at Studio House Atlanta, 2 to 5. I extended the hour because we got a lot of speakers coming in to bring this book to life. Nice. So mental health experts to bring to life that. Nice. Physical health expert or financial wellness, because I don't. I wrote the book and put in a financial wellness chapter in here, but I'm not a financial wellness expert.
That's okay, but you live on faith with your finances.
Right, exactly.
And there's a 401k somewhere.
Yes. So we got that event coming up. So I hope to see you there if you are Atlanta based. I do want you to RSVP. There's that link right there, drenjoylife.com/event-list. Hope to see you. It's free. But I feel very validated, empowering that you asked to come on here and that you are here. I always wanted you to come on the podcast.
See you doing your thing.
Yes, so I have so much respect for you.
And I do for you as well.
Thank you.
You have done all the things. How many countries did you visit in medical school?
I visited, I want to say 11 when I was in medical school, but that could have been just in 1 year because I went to like every mission trip.
So what was your goal? Because this is so funny. Okay?
Yeah.
Because she was not wealthy in medical school. Remember that, okay?
Oh.
It was sponsored by loans, grants, and okay?
Whatever that and is.
Ands, okay? But however, she had a goal that she was going to visit
as many countries as possible
while in medical school and while she was single before she got the responsibilities of family. Okay.
And
when I say she was on a plane somewhere, not just Canada, from Michigan. I'm talking. So she's living with me.
Yeah, I think I know where this is going.
But you still were living with me.
Where?
The Australia, New Zealand.
You came to visit me in Australia.
Okay, so this is the story I'm about to tell.
Yeah.
Are you still living with me?
Yeah. I was still
in residency yet.
No.
Okay.
I was in med school. I was my fourth year. I lived with you my fourth year.
She's in medical school.
Mm-hmm.
And so she says to me, Carolyn, I'm going to Australia for a rotation. I was like, that's great. She said, you and Jelani ought to come and visit. I said, Nina, you know Australia is not around the block.
Well, you know, it's close. Not at all.
How many hours?
Takes you 2 days to get there. Well, 2 days in your head.
How many hours was the flight?
I kind of feel like it was about 18 hours.
It feels like it's 17
because I left on a
hours.
Saturday and got there on a Monday because that's the way the time change goes. Yeah, it was New Zealand, and then we traveled to Australia and you met me there. But what's so funny is that you used to invite me to stuff like a comedy show, and I'd be like, "How much are the tickets?" And you'd be like, "Oh, it's 15, it's $55." And I'd be like, "No, I can't do that." And you're like, "But you can buy a $1,500 plane ticket." Well, that's how I can because I was saving money.
You see me looking at y'all? Do you see me?
I haven't seen the Grand Canyon, but been to 32 countries.
Do you see how I'm looking at y'all? Okay, because this one right here, okay, that mustard seed faith. That they were going to go to all the countries that they could possibly go to, but they weren't going to go to that comedy show for $55.
Right.
And I promise you, it ain't nothing about going to Australia that is $55.
Right. We're going to save the money. But all them loans that pay for these trips, my loans were forgiven a few weeks ago, so it all paid off.
You see what I'm saying? Hey. And so that's, again, when you have the faith to do the things that are true in your passion and purpose, somehow it's like the universe winks at you like, I see you putting your faith on me. And then before you know it, the universe says, I got you.
Faith is key. And you know, I sneak that faith in there by talking about spiritual health in here in the gratitude section. But it is definitely key to have some belief.
It's a belief in something bigger than yourself.
Exactly.
Okay. It doesn't have to be Christianity, Buddhism, Judaism. Yeah. It doesn't have to be, an organized religion, because that's not faith. Those are religions.
Right. It's spirituality.
Okay? And so, but faith is universal within the practice of a religion. And people often lose sight of what religion really is for, which is for the faith, the giving us rules to know how to treat one another kindly and generously so that we can actually live in peace. That's really what the purpose of religion is.
Exactly. Yeah. So we need some type of structure and something to believe in so that we're not just relying on ourselves, but we still need that piece of empowerment to know that we can do certain things as well. Absolutely. So it's a nice balance. All of this is about balance for our joy.
Yes.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. This was amazing. Thank you all for watching. Of course, you can get your Enjoyno on Amazon for $39.08. And at the launch, you can get it signed for a cheaper price.
We're not going to ask why the 08 is there.
I know. You don't even need to ask that at all. I did that on purpose, for sure.
It was not a coincidence. Okay? That was not a coincidence. I donate 1908. That's what I donate.
See? But I wouldn't have gotten a profit if this was 1908, but I got the 908 in there.
You got the 908 in there. Right.
All right. Well, we go.
Be intentional, y'all.
Yes, be intentional, be empowered.
That is the most thing that will empower you, is to be intentional every day.
Be intentional. All right. Thank you. Oh, wait, it didn't end yet. Looking to take control of your self-care? Join us on October 19th for the official launch of the Enjoyno, Nurturing Authentic Living, created by myself, Dr. Enjoy. From 2 to 4 p.m. at Studio House Atlanta, experience a wellness event with self-care tips, interactive booths, and a chance to get your Enjoyno signed by me. Start your journey to joy and balance. Don't miss this event. See you on October 19th from 2 to 4 at Studio House Atlanta.